Thank you, Ellen and Kate. Before we hear today's scripture, take a moment to consider what you expect God to sound like. A ruler, a judge, a distant voice from far away? Now listen for something different. The prophet Isaiah speaks to people who have been through loss, upheaval, and uncertainty. He offers them not power or commands, but comfort. Not distance, but closeness. Here, God is imagined in deeply personal, even surprising ways. As one who nurtures, who feeds, who holds, who stays close enough to calm a trembling heart. It's an image of strength wrapped in tenderness, of courage born not from force, but from love. So as you listen, I encourage you to set aside what you think you know and open yourselves to hear the possibility of a God who carries you, who comforts you, and who calls you home. Rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad for her, all you who love her. Rejoice with her in joy, all you who mourn over her, that you may nurse and be satisfied from her consoling breast, that you may drink deeply with delight from her glorious bosom. For thus says the Lord, I will extend prosperity to her like a river, and the wealth of the nations like an overflowing stream. And you shall nurse and be carried on her arm and dandled on her knees. As a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. You shall be comforted in Jerusalem. Isaiah chapter 66.
George, may God grant us wisdom and understanding. I want to dedicate this sermon to my mom, who faithfully watches my messages every week with my dad and worships with us. So, Mom, happy Mother's Day, and thank you for... My mom gave birth to 8 children, and that was back in the day when you used cloth diapers. So just that's all I need to say right there about being held and loved. But anyway, here's to my mom. When the last time I had a soulful cry, there was a whole lot I was working on, and I'm wondering about you. When's the last time you've had a soul-deep cry? And I'm not talking about the polite kind, the single tear you quickly wipe away so nobody notices. I mean the kind that sort of just sneaks up on you, and all of a sudden you're just weeping because something opens up inside you, and all of a sudden you just connect with your emotional world, and you're reminded how much you're alive still. I had one of those weeks this past week. I was working on this very sermon, and out of nowhere, I was overwhelmed by this deep, undeniable sense of being held by God, and it's probably because of Kate's anthem, We Are Held. I couldn't get it out of my head. I've been singing it all week. But it caught me off guard, and the tears just began to flow. And, I've been navigating my life on my own since 2013. I'm in good company with there are many widows and widowers and singles, divorcees among us. And there have been some beautiful chapters, and there have been some really hard ones. Loss, change, growth, the whole package. But somehow, through it all, I've been carried. And in that moment, it was like I could feel all of it all at once. So naturally, like any spiritually grounded pastor, I went to Google and I looked up the anthem our choir sang today, We Are Held, and I found a video of a high school choir singing it. And I thought we did a fair job, but this choir was amazing, amazing. And it was a brave choice on my part because I was already weeping, but as I listened, I was just so inspired, and then I found out that the anthem was actually based on a poem, and so I went and I read the poem, and I'm, weeping. It's a poem written by Robert Bode, and I won't read the whole thing for you, but I'll read just two stanzas. As the sun set by the sky, and as all the birds that fly, by his arms, both you and I, we are held. As the ship is by the sea, and the nest upon the tree, ever cradled, ever free, we are held. There's something about that phrase, we are held. It doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, it just declares, we are held. One of the composers, Susan Labar, puts it this way: this work expresses what it is to hold hope in your heart through a difficult season. No matter what you're going through, you are held. And that's not just poetry, that's good theology. It's the same theology that we hear from the prophet Isaiah that George just read. You know, the prophet was speaking to people who'd lost everything, people who were disoriented and weary. And then he does something unexpected. He reaches for an image of God that we don't really expect. It's an image that's intimate and embodied, and I'd say it's even vulnerable. God says through the prophet Isaiah, as a mother comforts her child, so I will comfort you. Not as a king commands, not as a judge evaluates, not even as a shepherd guides. In this text, it's as a mother comforts. And that's different. I mean, it's not about fixing the problem. It's not about explaining why things happened. It's about presence. It's about closeness. It's about that moment when someone kneels down, opens their arms, and just says, come here, honey. I saw a version of that just this past week. My walking buddy Dennis Taylor and I have been walking the Strand 3 miles a day, trying to convince our bodies that we're still in our 20s. And we passed a little girl who had just fallen. She had scraped her knee, and her hands were sandy, and the whole scene, right? And it's playing out before us as we're approaching them, and her mother immediately, of course, kneels down, dusts off the knee and her hands and comforts her. And her mom didn't lecture, of course, right? Because she's a mom. She didn't say, well, statistically, this was bound to happen at some point, you know. No, she said, come here. Come here. And she held her. And somehow, I imagine, the world slowed down for that little upset girl. And the pain didn't vanish, but I'm sure the pain lost a bit of its grip on her. Isaiah says that's what God is like. And I wonder if we can hear that and accept that this morning. I wonder if we can fully embrace it wholeheartedly this Mother's Day. Now, granted, Mother's Day isn't simple. For some, it's joyful. Hey, it's cards and brunch and maybe breakfast in bed with just enough eggshells in the pancakes to convey the love that was made. For others, it's tender, even painful. It carries grief, mothers who are gone, relationships that are strained, or hopes that didn't quite unfold the way we had imagined. And for some, it's exhausting because caregiving is beautiful, but caregiving can be relentless and exhausting. So today isn't about putting motherhood on some unreachable pedestal, but it is about recognizing something deeper. The heart of God is revealed in the kind of love that nurtures and protects and stays. A love that says, you belong. Come here. That's really the context of Isaiah's words. He's speaking to people who've lost their sense of home. Lost their sense of home. And into that disorientation, he offers this image. You shall be carried on her arm, dandled on her knees. Now that's not abstract theology. That's a baby being bounced on a knee. That's a tired child falling asleep, nestled right in, the best place right there. In your shoulder. That's the kind of love that doesn't ask you to earn your place first. No, it just says, you're mine. You're mine. Let me hold you. And maybe that's the word we need most today. Baby Kaya had her first experience of worship at MBCC last Sunday. She was very proud of her grandfather, Larry, who delivered a very heartfelt message. And then she was kind enough to whisper in my ear, hey, thanks for feeding me at the barbecue at the manse the other night. Here she is talking to me while being held by her mother, Rachel. in her mother's arms. Baby Kaya is only beginning to grasp how blessed she is to be born into such a loving family and an equally loving church family. Her grandfather Larry preached last week about the blessing of being loved by God through our families and our church family. And that was a powerful message. I wish that were the loudest message we hear these days in the South Bay. You know, beautiful it is as it is to live here and walking on the Strand now every day, I'm seeing such beauty. I'm talking about the ocean, of course. But living in this corner of paradise comes with so many blessings, but it also comes with some messages, subtle and not so subtle. Messages that say, you need to be more successful. You need to be more put together. You need to be more everything. Even parenting can start to feel like it's a competition. Competitive sport, parenting. Who can raise their children the best, right? Right schools, right activities, right organic snacks that cost crazy amounts of money. And into all of that noise, God speaks, not really loudly or even audibly, but clearly, come here. Come here. And you won't hear it, but you get it together first. Get all cleaned up first before you show up to church. Try a little harder, and then I'll see if you're welcome. No. Come here, just as you are. Let me hold you. You know, God's love is not transactional. Tit for tat, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It doesn't wait for us to prove ourselves. It's more like gravity. It's just there, steady, holding us. Even when we forget, we are held. Friends, when we begin to trust that we're held, really held in God's love, it changes us. We become a little less anxious. Oh, I'm held. God's going to hold me through this. A little more compassionate. We even become a little more willing to kneel down for someone else and help build a sense of home for them. And that's where the church comes in with our Caring Friends ministry and our life groups and our Stephen ministry and supporting organizations like A Sense of Home. You didn't even tell me we got that award, you sneaky people. That's so cool. We need to put that up on the website along with, I guess we're the best place to worship in Manhattan Beach in the paper recently, but anyway. If Isaiah is right, and I think he is, then Manhattan Beach Community Church is called to be that kind of place. A place where people can bring their scraped knees, the visible ones and the invisible ones, and here, maybe for the first time, maybe here for the first time in a long time, come here. Come here. Let me hold you. I believe that we are a place and becoming an even better place where grief is handled very well. It's not rushed. Where joy isn't quietly resented. Where questions are always welcomed. A place that feels like home. So today we give thanks for mothers in all their courage and complexity, their fierce love, and for those who've nurtured us in ways big and small, and for those who've shown us love with patience and humor and resilience. And we give thanks for a God who meets us not from a distance, but up close and personal with arms open wide. We give thanks for a God who says, you are held, you are comforted, you are home. And maybe, just maybe, the most faithful thing that we can do in response to all this love is to kneel down ourselves and open our arms and say to someone else, come here. Come here. Amen.